a stranger in an isolated motel room who demands questionable actions from the protagonist. He hands him a clicker to reach 10,000 clicks when he would give him $14,000, no strings attached, something the protagonist needs for a life-changing operation. Before we dive into the story, a special thanks to the sponsor of this video, Opera GX. Opera GX is a browser packed with features to make the experience of surfing the web, working and playing much better. Opera GX is loaded with features, one being mods and customizations better known as GX mods. From the wide range of mods, you can entirely change the way you use your browser, changing pretty much anything you want. There are official mods, then community-made mods, ranging from memes, games, to much more. My favorite mod for now is Cyberdick, which has a motion wallpaper of a cyberpunk city skyline, a pretty funky and calming background music, a pretty nice theme which you can easily change, browser sounds which is interactive, and whenever you close or open a tab or click on the items, a subtle sound can be heard, shaders which can change the entire look of the screen in a very subtle way as well. And probably my favorite part of this mod, alongside the background music and shaders, is the keyboard sounds, which essentially gives each click on each key of the keyboard make a specific digital sound. At any point, if you want to disable the shaders and the background music, you can simply do so by the sidebar quick access menu. For any other individual mods, you can disable and enable them easily. Keep in mind there are hundreds of mods available, each with their own unique looks and sounds ready to install from the store. Another feature of the Opera GX is the generative AI integration. Native integration allows for summarizing articles and scripts, finding related content, helping with homework, and much more in a few simple clicks. Aria is easily accessible from the sidebar, helping you compose so many different things such as emails, essays, debates, and even social posts. Another special feature is the AI prompts popping up when topics, words, or sentences are highlighted. For more information, you can visit this website. Make sure to download Opera GX following the link in the video or by hitting on the link in the description and experience a complete different world of browsing. Being in a dingy motel room, the protagonist has agreed to meet a strange masked man with bloodstains on his shirt, doing what he asks of him without questioning it. The catch: $14,000, a life-changing money for the protagonist, which he desperately needs for an operation. The masked man has provided the unnamed protagonist with a tally counter which will reset at 10,000 clicks, and that's when the protagonist would get his money. It sounds bizarre, sounds too easy to be true for such a large sum of cash, too weird to be safe. But for the protagonist, that's the best bet he has for getting the money that he needs for this operation, and he will do what it takes to get it. From now on, I will call the protagonist Roz, which is synonymous with the word mystery or secret, which aligns with the predicament the protagonist has found himself in. Roz sitting on the side of the bed, too close for comfort to the masked man who is comfortable on the armchair across from the bed. He gets told to stand up and open the curtains while clicking. It's raining outside and it's nighttime, being a lonely night for many. Nights which many had to endure, being stuck at home with no one to call or contact or anyone to spend their time with. That's when, looking at the masked man from the side, Roz notices how he has a facial deformity with his eyes being badly crossed. Roz doesn't utter a word about it, keeping quiet, doing what is asked of him. After a few clicks, the masked man visibly becomes uncomfortable, telling Roz to shut the curtains as it's something he really hates, not elaborating much more on it. This makes Roz form a thought in his mind that maybe this man has his fascination with clicking and telling one what to do, willing to spend so much money as if it's one of the biggest things that he lacks. Someone to spend the night with him and do what is asked, as if being some sort of a fetish and a desire. Maybe the rainy night, being quiet, reminded him of the many lonely nights that he had to spend on his own. Maybe that's why he hated it. It's possible the mask that he wears is not to conceal his identity, but to cover up his appearance, something that he is insecure about. Maybe deformities which make him feel uncomfortable in his own skin. Clicking away, the masked man opens up on how it's his first time doing something like this, as if implying something more specific. He expands that he has been with the clicker for a long time and that it means a lot to him. The conversation takes a different turn when the masked man goes into uncomfortable details on how the clicker suits the protagonist, how it forms into his skin, and much more unnecessary detail.
That clicker means a lot to me. You know, I was lost and it found me. But I can't click the way you can. The way you run your fingers over it. The way its shape presses into you. You like it, don't you? I'm tensing a little bit, just watching you.
Just before the clicker hits 1000, the masked man orders Ross to stop, where he really takes his time as if reaching his height of pleasure, when after several seconds he collapses into his armchair. After this strange experience feeling off, yet going along with the masked man's requirements, the masked man seems to be interested to know more about Ross, asking him about his life and if he's happy with it. The man proceeds to ask the protagonist if he's here just for the money, as if trying to get somewhat a more meaningful connection with him. This is despite knowing this request is bizarre and not something people are happy to do, yet do it for the money proposed. So of course the protagonist wouldn't want to do this if it wasn't for the money. Being at best a rhetorical question, the masked man understands it wasn't a smart question and quickly corrects himself, saying how he doesn't want Ross to answer. While clicking to reach 10,000, the masked man makes comments on how he's very good at handling the clicker, even saying Ross is probably better than he himself ever was. He proceeds to pull out a handgun, saying how there are many strange people who cannot be trusted, even though Ross seemed like a safe person when making the arrangements. Regardless, he didn't want to take any risks meeting alone with all this money, hence why he took the gun to protect himself. Seeing how obedient and safe Ross is, he puts the gun away, yet displaying how the masked man himself, despite being intimidating, is scared and didn't know what he was putting himself in. That's when he tells Ross where the cash is stacked, being underneath the bed, hence explaining why he showed the gun, to make sure Ross finishes his task of reaching 10,000 clicks, yet telling him where the money is after it's done. After a while, the man asks Ross to go to the bathroom and click, just wanting to hear it rather than seeing it, when he slowly reveals that he is extremely sick, seemingly being terminal, a sickness which affects him, clicking and using his hands well, with this being a sentimental stunt to feel in power again, to do what he was good at before and what he was happy with, something he valued dearly, which is something that he cannot do any longer. He elaborates that it wasn't something he thought would affect him so much, but it did. And that's why he is imagining himself being able to do it, using Ross as a vessel to be his instrument, to be his hands, and click. He goes even a step further when the masked man asks Ross for pictures of his hands before arranging this meeting to ensure that they look identical to his own. It seems as if the man tries to make a connection with the protagonist and feel as if they are one. He then goes on talking about a strange dream that he had, being stuck in a white void, seeing a man being clean and strong, happy in his own presence, just watching, when the masked man suddenly wakes up, making a mask similar to this pure, strong, clean man in his dream. The man wanted to feel like the figure in his dream, clean and strong, something he probably lacked, or felt like he did. After some time, looking at the painting of a tiger, he contemplates on how tigers are strong yet dangerous beings who hurt people, yet they rest and don't care, not knowing how badly they hurt. He wishes he could be like a tiger, yet he explains how people have minds that torture them, constantly thinking, analyzing and self-criticizing. The masked man is married with 2 children, a son aged 3 and a daughter aged 8. He feels strange thinking about them and what his wife would think of him if she knew that he's doing this. It seems as if he's doing this for a dream, and the sickness that he was talking about was a mental health issue, the struggle and stress of life, or an actual terminal illness that he doesn't want to talk about. He insinuates that he killed his family by strangling them and cutting them, and then burying them, on how he wanted to get their dreams out, revealing how he got the bloodstains on himself. It's after ruining his own hopes and goals of seeing his children grow and take care of each other, something he laughs about as if it's a wish that was never achieved. That's when he pulls out the gun and says to Roz that he cannot hurt him and nothing can, when he addresses himself as clean and strong, changing the direction of the gun and ending it. The man seemed to have a great deal of problems that he couldn't resolve. A lot of pain and struggle that he couldn't fix, hence hiring Ross to be his vessel, feeling powerful one last time, before transcending and becoming the strong and clean figure he saw in his dream. A figure he seemingly wanted to be all his life, and in the presence of this being, he felt little, underachieved, and hence longing to be like it. After the credit scene, Ross is still in the room, shocked and terrified to what he just experienced. There, he could just take the money from underneath the bed and go on with his life, pretending like this never happened. But curiosity takes over him, and he continues clicking when he notices something out of ordinary, or even supernatural. The painting with the blind man starts turning and glowing, having a blinding white light. This creates a doorway, something that gravitates Ross to walk through it. Doing so, he enters a white void with a man at the end of it, wearing the same mask, being clean and strong, exactly visualizing the dream that the masked man had and spoke of. This entity explains how his encounters are completely whimsical. It's him who decides who can see him, and he watches. He never wanted to have the masked man dead, but his death was near, and he never meant for his encounter with him to lead to his life getting ruined. That is why he chooses not to visit people anymore, as he doesn't know what impact it'll have on them. Therefore, it wasn't a dream at all, but rather an actual encounter with the masked man which he remembered, even though he wasn't meant to. The figure in the void ends his conversation by saying, now the person who actually clicks will remember this encounter and will take a piece of him, breaking the fourth wall, talking about the players. He says how there is no innocent contact where a soul is involved, and the masked man's death made the soul leave, which in turn made Ross have the chance to meet this being in the void. He's then left to his own to continue on clicking until he feels done and leaves, or leave instantly. But either way, he will forget this encounter. The story ends with Ross leaving the motel room, taking his cash, and most likely forgetting what happened. The masked man's dead body remains in the room, someone who destroyed his life, with the encounter messing up his mind. However, there seems to have been other factors making him the way he was. He mentioned how he was very sick and unable to click the way Ross could click anymore, asking for hand pictures to ensure Ross's hands look similar to his own, feeling as if he is Ross for the last several minutes alive. The cash amount also offered seems very specific, as if it was all of the masked man's savings, giving all he has to feel what he felt in his last moments. But of course, not before taking the life of his family. To me, it seems as if the masked man had a life where he felt is not worth living. A life where he had underachieved, felt as if he is not what he used to be anymore, not as healthy as before, and being extremely sick. The sickness is not explained to be whether metaphoric or factual, but in the grand scheme of things, it was debilitating enough for the man not to want to live anymore. The dream or the encounter with the strong figure was the last straw which made him feel he can become that being, pure, clean, and strong, not dependent on anyone or anything, resulting in him throwing all that he had away in hopes of becoming that thing that he wished for becoming. But of course, meeting this entity, we learned the masked man simply lost his mind after meeting the figure, and instead of trying to improve his life and face the challenges and push on, chose the easy route, ending it, even though the figure explains his meeting with him was completely whimsical. There are many different interpretations you can have and many other symbolic aspects of the interaction. Let me know what are your thoughts about the story and the game down in the comments. As always, it's been your host Star. Thanks for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Have a fantastic day.